sometimes we just don't like something and there's no reason for it. And that's okay. If you want to please everybody, you will not please anybody. There's a lot of us, we literally live our lives seeking validation and approval, trying to be liked by everyone, not realizing that people are just too busy thinking about themselves. Figure out who is your audience, please your audience. Nobody else matters. We may not feel ready to do something, but it doesn't mean that we are not ready. How's everybody doing today? How are you feeling? Come on, let's get some energy going. I'm curious, how many of you are here for the first time at Mind Value? If you can raise your hands. Okay, it's roughly 60% of you. I have to tell you, I've been to every single Mind Value event and it's just incredible. This is going to be life-changing. And the most important thing you have to know is that we co-create this event. We're going to make some magic happen. And today we're going to be talking about building your online course. Now, how many of you are excited about building your best-selling courses? Make some noise. Awesome. Now, I know it's been a long day. It's 4 p.m. You had a lot of different sessions. So I want to recalibrate the energy a little bit with some breathing before we dig into all the important stuff. Okay, so let's close our eyes for a moment. Okay, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Okay, through your nose and then breathe out. Now breathe in through your nose and breathe in all the positive energy and breathe out all the stress. And again, breathe in positive energy, breathe out all the stress. Now I want you to take a really deep breath and just hold it, okay? Take a massive deep breath. And now as you hold it, imagine that right now you are moving from being a consumer to becoming a creator. This is the time to share your gift with the world. Feel it in your body. Now breathe out. You can make some noise as you're breathing out. Okay, breathe in once again, breathe in all the positive energy, all the courage. Imagine yourself as the creator who will help a lot of people. And now breathe out all the stress. All right, open your eyes. How does it feel? Feels great, right? Okay, so now we are ready to get started. May do more of those sessions a bit later on. So when people think about building courses, they often feel like this, right? We feel like it's too complicated, it's too scary, it's too confusing, but it doesn't have to be like this. So today my job is to uncomplicate it for you, okay? People often come to me, they say, hey, I want to build a course. I've been dabbling in this idea, but I don't know if I have what it takes. I have all those limiting beliefs. I don't know how to get started. So I want to use the 80-20 principle today. Rather than trying to share with you everything, which is not possible in 45 minutes, I want to focus on the most important things. But before we get into it, I want to figure out who is here in the audience. So I'm curious, how many of you already have an online course? You can raise your hands. Okay, can you stand up? I'm not going to make you speak, okay? Can you stand up for a moment if you have a course? Okay, so big round of applause for those people who just stood up. And keep standing. So the reason I want you to stand up and the reason I wanted to give you the applause is not because you built a course, but because you built a course and you still came here. Huh? I mean, that's the definition of humility, right? Like those people here, they know how to build courses. They still decide to come here at 20 p.m. instead of just going back and chilling in the hotel. And this is the first lesson of building courses. You always have to keep learning, right? So this is a great example. So thank you so much. All right, so how many of you are right now in the process of building a course? Raise your hands. Okay, awesome. Look around. Identify those people. These are your people, right? You can collaborate with them. So maybe roughly 20-25% of the audience. Now, how many of you have been dabbling in this idea of building a course, but you haven't done it yet? Maybe something is holding back. Raise your hand really high. Okay, so I would say this is the majority of you. Maybe 35-40%. By the way, aware some people don't like to raise their hands. We have to account for that. Now, finally, how many of you don't want to build a course? You're actually, wow, did you see that? He literally, I couldn't even finish my sentence. He literally, how many of you don't want to build a course? Me, I don't want to build a course, all right? So how many of you are here for the kicks, for the good vibes? You don't necessarily want to build a course, but you're just curious. You want to see if you're going to learn something. Okay, I appreciate the honesty. maybe 5–10% of you here. What I want to tell you is that even though this is about course creation, certain strategies, especially the mindset shifts, will help you in other realms as well. Those things will help you in life, all right? So, I'm wondering, why are you here? Let's start with the why, right? Because if you don't define your why, it's going to be very hard to persevere, to go out there and to make things happen. So, why do you want to build a course? What are the benefits? Anybody? You can just shout it out. What are the benefits? What do you want to get out of the course? Easier to deal with the clients? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can send your course directly to your clients, so it's easier for you to. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
My voice is loud.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was about to repeat, but yeah, maybe that's better, yeah.
Yes. So I think like having a course online would help people buy it instead of coming to you directly. Let's say if you're a consultant and you have certain aspects of a course that you want to give out, so they can buy the course and use it, and then. Well,
and then you can basically enroll them into your consulting or coaching,
It depends.
right?
It depends whatever you want to give out to the world or whatever you're doing here.
Awesome. That's a great one. Now, by the way, you can actually send free coupons to some of your clients. If you build a course, that's one trick. You can tell your potential client, hey, I've built this premium course, but I want to give it to you for free as a gift, right? Now, this will make you stand out, and you'll be more likely to get some type of gig with that particular client. So that's a great one. What else? Passive income. I was waiting for this. I literally thought this is going to be the first thing people will say. Passive income. Passive income is great, and it exists. It's a real thing. Now, listen, of course, if you want to keep making money, you have to keep adding to it. You have to keep improving your courses. But I have to say, it's a beautiful feeling to wake up in the morning. You look at your dashboard and you realize, I've just made a bunch of cash while I was sleeping, while helping other people. Anything else? Automation? So you basically clone yourself, right? You don't have to always trade your time for money. Like here, I'm talking to you directly. But if we make a video of this, and if we put it out there, millions of people can see it. So basically, just imagine this, right? I'm literally cloning myself. There are multiple Jimmys out there online working for me 24/7. So that's a great one. What about this? What about speaking gigs? Do you think it's going to help you? Imagine you want to get on a stage and you can show to someone your online course, and that becomes the living proof that you have what it takes, all right? So we could talk about a lot of different benefits. The reason I wanted to start with this is because I want to get you excited, and I want you to think about it deeply. Not right now, but later on I want you to sit down and really think about what you want to get out of your course. Because if you define it in excruciating detail, it will be easier for you to persevere, because obviously we will all face setbacks, difficulties, but in those moments you have to keep pushing. All right, so why listen to me? A couple of things about myself. I'm aware that some of you know me, some of you don't know who I am. So in a nutshell, I used to date with the corporate world. I worked for Allianz, I worked for Goldman Sachs, a startup company. Very quickly I realized it just wasn't for me. So I quit my last job and I embraced entrepreneurship. I literally fell in love with entrepreneurship. Anyone can resonate with this? Anyone worked for a corporate? All right, you know what I'm talking about. So the reason I feel like this is valuable is because I'm not some trust fund kid. I'm not someone who always had the ability to go out there and talk in front of people, right? Make videos, speak on a stage. In fact, it used to be very different. I started from zero. In fact, when I started, I was fresh after a breakup. Within 1 week, I broke up with my ex. It was terrible. It's one of those situations when you think that the breakup is a good idea, and then 1 month, 2 months later, it just hits you with a delay. Right? It usually happens to guys, right? It hits you and you realize, oh, but I miss her. She's the only one, right? She's the special girl. So I was devastated. So I broke up with my ex, I quit my job, and I moved out of the country where I was living. So it wasn't easy, right? I didn't have much money, but I got started. And the important thing is that I'm not a native English speaker. I'm originally from Poland. So a lot of people say, well, but I'm not American, I'm not British, I'm not Australian. You don't have to be. So this is my Udemy profile. Oh, I just realized I see something else here. Here. This is my Udemy profile. So I'm a Udemy instructor partner. I've been teaching on Udemy for many years. I made a ton of mistakes, and I'm going to teach you some of those lessons that I've learned. Now, one thing I love about teaching online is this. So these are the people from all over the world that I'm impacting. And the crazy thing is that with today's technology, you can literally do it too. You don't have to wait for years and years. You can get started today, and literally in a few days from now, you can start impacting people from all over the world. Now, one thing that people don't know about me, and one thing that people get confused about when they see me on a stage like this, one on different stages as well, doing AFES, for example, doing all types of corporate gigs. People often look at those pictures or they see me live and they assume that I was always a confident person, right? They think, oh, this guy was born to be on a stage. It's easy for you, Jimmy, because you have what it takes, right? When they see me, for example, with Vision filming The Quest, they say, well, it's easy for you to film a quest because you seem like an extrovert and it's easy for you. Now, this couldn't be further from the truth. So I'm actually an introvert. I used to suffer from tremendous anxiety. I had panic attacks. I even one time ran away from a stage 12 years ago. I literally went on a stage and like 30 seconds before my speech, I couldn't handle the pressure. My heart was pounding and I just left, right? I left the stage. So I know how debilitating this feels. So this is me when I was a teenager, and I hear laughter. I'm gonna find you later. I hear people laughing over there. So it's a funny picture, but this is me, right? And this picture shows very well how I felt. I feel like your nonverbal signals can really portray how you feel on the inside. So as you see, I'm slouching, looking down, and clearly you can see I'm not very happy. So my self-image was that I was a skinny Polish kid, always the outsider. My father's from British Guyana, from South America, so I always felt a bit like I didn't truly belong. I felt that my ears were like an elf, and they still are, but now I appreciate them. I focused overly on my crooked teeth. And by the way, here's another picture. Same pose, right? Hands in my pockets, slouching, looking down like this. So as you can see, lots of limiting beliefs, but also it seems like a limited wardrobe, because in case you haven't noticed, I'm literally rocking the same t-shirt, right? See? Same orange t-shirt. Any Eastern Europeans here? Yeah? Some of you, so you know, the times were not easy, right? Post-communist Poland. I mean, you gotta save those t-shirts. So this is me, and you may be wondering, okay, why are you telling me this? This is a talk about building online courses. Well, the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is because what I did is I took my challenges, I took my insecurities, my weaknesses, and I turned them into my strengths. And you can do it too, okay? So you can take your struggles and you can turn them into your power, and then you can help other people. And this is a very important mindset shift, right? So if you struggle with something, this is your struggle here. You are here, and you manage to get a few steps away. You make some type of change, you make progress. Now we can help all of those people who are still there to learn. And this is something really important. A lot of people have limiting beliefs. They feel like, I don't have anything to teach. If you're in doubt, this is what you got to focus on. Now, speaking of which, most of your fears, most of your worst-case scenarios are just an illusion when you really think about it. And I want to start with this topic because I could just get right into how to choose a course platform, how to design your course, how to pick a topic. We're going to talk about all of this, but I feel like it's important to work on the foundation so you summon the courage to go out there and to release your course. And these are some of the most common questions people ask me. So one of the things people say is, Jimmy, I'm not the best in the world. How many of you sometimes feel like, well, I want to teach, but I'm not the best in the world? Let's just be honest. Look around, actually, raise your hands, look around. I would say it's like 40, 50% of you, plus another maybe 30% that didn't want to raise their hands, right? We all have those limiting beliefs. Now, I always say that you don't have to be the best in the world. You just have to be better than your target audience. So again, if you had a challenge here, and now you are here, you can help those people to overcome the same challenge. So there is an ingredient that's way more important than being the best in the world, and it's relatability. You have to be relatable. So my favorite example, let's say that you want to lose weight. Let's say you want to lose roughly 20 kilos. Who would you rather pick as your fitness trainer? Some bodybuilder with an amazing six-pack, massive muscles, crazy genetics, never suffered from any weight issues? Or would you rather pick someone who reminds you of yourself? Right? Someone, when you look at that person, you see yourself in them. And they managed to lose, say, 25 kilos over the last 2 years. Who would you rather pick, number one or number two? Number 2, right? So everyone would rather pick number 2. Does it mean that number 2 is better than number 1? No. But it doesn't matter because we want to learn from people we can resonate with. In fact, sometimes what happens is when we try to learn from those who achieved a ridiculous success, right? Billionaires and millions of fans, they seem too far away. We are here and they are somewhere there. We just can't resonate, right? But if you see someone who is literally just a few steps ahead of you, now you realize, oh wow, if that person managed to do it, maybe I can do it as well. So think about it. This is one of the biggest limiting beliefs holding people back. Second thing, I think you're gonna like this one, and I think you're gonna resonate with this. So people say, well, I have an accent. Why would anybody learn from me? How many non-native English speakers do we have in the audience? I'm just curious. All right, so that's quite a lot of people. That's like maybe 60, 70% of you are non-native English speakers. The reality is that when you teach, most of your students will be non-natives, right? They're not native speakers. So oftentimes we have those limiting beliefs about our accent. What if I make a fool of myself? What if I mispronounce words? What if I do something stupid? But the reality is that when you have a different accent, well, most of your audience can resonate with that. And this makes you stand out. It makes you unique. So I want to show you something, because I used to struggle with accent. I still have an accent, right? Especially when I'm tired, when I'm jet lagged, I get into this really proper Eastern European accent. But 8 years ago, my accent was much stronger. I want to show you an example, okay? So I'm going to show you my ass video in a second. This may be confusing, you know, we live in a world of like twerking and all of that and getting very popular. You will be surprised. I'm going to show you my ass video. Before I do so, I want to tell you that I used to mispronounce a lot of words. So I would say determine instead of determine. My friends would always laugh. They would always like mock me, right? I would say intertwine instead of intertwine, right? So I made a lot of pronunciation mistakes. Now, one word you really don't want to mispronounce is the word ice. Right? That's what, well, I guess it becomes ass, right? So one time, maybe 8, 9 years ago, I was making a video, right? It was a video for YouTube, and I wanted to talk about eye contact. And some of you know where this is going already, yeah? I want to talk about eye contact. By the way, I spoke about this briefly at A-Fest just a month ago. People are laughing, but I didn't show them the video. And after people said, hey, you got to show us the video. Well, here we have an opportunity. So in this video I'm going to show you, I was talking about eye contact. And I wanted to say something in the lines of, when you look directly into somebody's eyes, you may feel anxious, you may feel butterflies. Okay, let's see how that worked out. This is me 8, 9 years ago. It's quite painful to see this video, but let's go.
And you probably saw it, maybe you experienced it yourself. You know, you look directly into somebody's eyes and you feel a little bit uncomfortable. You feel some strange feeling deep in your stomach. You can't explain it, but you feel, you feel overwhelmed.
Makes sense, right? I mean, if I were to stare at somebody's ass, maybe I would be overwhelmed. I don't know. Strange feeling deep in my stomach makes sense. So, in case you missed that, by the way, here you go. Here's a little loop in case you missed that one.
You look directly into somebody's eyes. You look directly into somebody's eyes. You look directly into somebody's eyes.
All right. So that video, look, people made funny comments, right? Some people said like, this guy's talking about asses. And I had a good laugh. Because I realized after a fact that I said that. I didn't know initially. I literally thought I was talking about ice. This is what happens when you have an accent. But here's what happened with this video. This video, so I posted a lot of videos on YouTube, and sometimes you post a video and you're convinced this is the best video out there, and it gets like 500 views. This video got 680,000 views. Now, why didn't I take it down? Well, the reason is that I knew it was giving value to people, right? So maybe it wasn't putting me in the right light, but it actually gave a lot of value to people. A lot of people commented, hey, those tricks about eye contact really helped me, so I left it there. And the reason is that you have to remember that your imperfections make who you are. They make you unique, okay? This is so important. We often try to hide our imperfections, right? This is you with all your imperfections, your weaknesses, your insecurities, your failures. And what we try to do is we try to make that separation. No, I don't want this. So you try to push yourself away from it, right? And put those vulnerabilities over there. And then put some type of a mask and say, hey, what's going on? And pretend as if you have no issues, right? As if you are a perfect human being. But no one is perfect. Nobody is perfect. And people can see when you are wearing a mask. So you have to own those imperfections because, again, they will make you you. And I have to guarantee you, if you own your imperfections while creating video courses, people will love you for that because when they see you, they'll see themselves. Make sense? Okay, next one. Everything on this topic is already out there. Simple question, that's true. Everything is already out there, right? You probably didn't expect to hear this, but this is the reality. All the information is already out there. We can literally Google anything. But when people learn from us, it's not about information, right? We are no longer in the information age. We are in the how-to economy. Right? For example, we are here at Mind Value. You can see all of those videos, all of those presentations, all of this content online. You don't have to be here. Why are we here? We are here for the kicks, for the vibe, for the connection. It makes a difference when we are learning something here in person, when we can feel other people. So remember that when people buy your courses, they're not just buying information, they're buying your guidance, they're buying your processes, they're buying your personality. So when you have a topic and you do your research and you realize a lot of people teach that topic, it doesn't matter because no one is like you. You are uniquely you, and this is what matters. Another thing, let's talk about people not liking your content. This is one of the biggest limiting beliefs. What if I publish a course and people will not like it? What if people will reject me? What if people say that I'm stupid? Now here's the thing. In reality, most people, well, not most people, but some people will not resonate with your content. And that's fine. Now, statistically speaking, whenever I get on any stage, I know that statistically, the majority is like, okay, benefit of a doubt, let's see what this guy can give me, right? Let's see how valuable this is gonna be. I know that some people are like, wow, I'm loving this presentation, this is awesome. But also statistically speaking, I know that in any audience, there's usually someone, sometimes more people, who are looking at me thinking, I don't like it. I don't like his style, I don't like his beard, he's too loud, maybe moves his hands too much, right? Sometimes we just don't like something and there's no reason for it. And that's okay, because if you want to please everybody, you will not please anybody. So what you gotta do is you gotta figure out who is your audience, and then you have to try to please your audience. Nobody else matters. And as long as you please your audience, everything's gonna be fine. So speaking of which, speaking of those limiting beliefs, let's talk about the F word. Okay, very important. And then we're gonna jump into FAQs. Let's talk about fear. Let's talk about fear. How many of you know this guy? Churchill, right? So he said something that stuck with me. He said that when we are in our 20s, we keep wondering what other people think about us, right? We keep caring about it. When we are 40, we just stop caring what people think about us. But when we are 60, we realize that people haven't been thinking about us in the first place, right? Here's the quote. I kind of paraphrased it a little bit, but it makes sense, right? It makes sense. And it's very sad because a lot of us, we literally live our lives seeking validation and approval, trying to be liked by everyone, not realizing that people are just too busy thinking about themselves. So whenever you have those limiting beliefs and you think, well, maybe I don't have what it takes. I want to release a course, but I don't think I have what it takes. What if people will reject me? What if people will not like me? Remember that people are so busy thinking about themselves that if they don't like your content, they just move on. Like, I have a question for you. How many things do you remember? How many pieces of content do you remember from the last 4 weeks that you really didn't like? Like how many? You probably don't, because you just move on, right? You go on Netflix, I don't like this one, don't like that one. You go on TED Talks, you don't resonate, you move on. You don't jot down the person's name, track them down, send them. Some people do that. I mean, we live in a crazy world, right? But most people don't track them down, don't send them a personalized message. Hey, just want to let you know I really hate your speech. You don't do that, you move on, right? You think about it yourself. Just right now, I could focus on potential rejection. I'm on a stage, right? As a speaker, you could always focus on the fact, well, what if some people here don't resonate, right? But again, you are so busy thinking about the value for yourself, what you can get out of this for yourself. that you don't think about me that much. I could probably spill something on me, I could trip, and it doesn't matter as long as I give you value. Okay, so having said that, having done this foundational bit, we talked about the mindset, let's jump into the FAQs. All right, you guys ready? I haven't heard you. Are you ready? All right, I think we need some breathing. Let's do 5 deep breaths just to recalibrate. Okay, let's do it together, okay? And by the way, when you're breathing in, breathe in positive energy, breathe in the power, and breathe in that feeling that you are becoming a creator now. You are no longer just a consumer. You are here. This is the trigger. You are the creator. So breathe it in and breathe out any stress. Breathe in that positive energy. Breathe out any self-doubt. You can make some noise. No one is looking at you. Breathe it in. Great. 2 more times. You're the creator. And 1 more time, let's make it really big. Open your eyes. Great. Recalibrated, ready to go? Okay, let's do it. So the first question number 1. What to teach? Now, some of us are blessed to know exactly what we want to do in our lives, right? Little kid, hey, I want to be a doctor. I want to be this, I want to be that. Most of us are not that lucky, right? Most of us don't know. So if you know what you want to teach, great. If you don't know, I'm just going to give you a few pointers. So first of all, what I need you to know is that, as we discussed before, you can think about the challenges that you managed to overcome and teach certain strategies and techniques how to overcome those challenges to other people. That's number 1. Now, another thing is that you always want to be passionate about what you teach. If you don't have the passion, people will be able to sense it. And when they sense it, they will give you bad ratings. And that's going to screw up the algorithm, right? So you got to have a passion. You have to be an expert. Now, as we discussed, you don't have to be the biggest expert in the world, but you have to be an expert. And you have to dig into your market. You have to figure out the market needs, especially if you want to make money, right? So you want to look at your competition. You want to see what they are doing. You want to see how well they are performing. Very important. Now, important thing, and this is crucial, is that we don't just want to sit down and overthink it, right? Don't just want to sit on the couch and ponder for another few weeks, few months, or few years what you should teach. What is the best way to go about it? Because then you will enter this paralysis by analysis, right? Some of you are nodding your heads, right? We've all been there. There's so many options, the paradox of choice. You're not sure if you should go left or right. So rather than taking action, it's always just to sit down and be like, okay, I'm not sure. Let me write down pros and cons list. And you keep doing it year after year, and you never publish anything. So if you are in doubt and you're not sure what you should publish, ask yourself a very simple question. What could I create that will impact my brand positively, right? If you are, for example, a graphic designer, maybe it's a course on graphic design, right? So people can see that you are really an expert in your field. If you are a coach, maybe pick a topic that you usually coach on and build a course around that, right? So then your clients can see, wow, that person is really an expert in that field. Super important, okay? So the next question, and this is something a lot of people ask me about, how to structure your course. How to structure your course. By the way, apologies, we had some issues with the slides before with converting, so it looks like some of the titles are a little bit cut. But what I want to do here is structuring the course can be really challenging. I know there are many ways to do it, but I want to simplify it for you, and this is something that has been working for me and a lot of other people from all over the world, okay? So you always want to have a promotional video. And this is something that a lot of people forget about, but the promo video is the most important video of your course. So in your promotional video, you want to tell people what they're going to get out of your course. What are the benefits? What they're going to learn? But you also want to introduce yourself. Now, rather than just talking about your accomplishments, you also want to add a bit of vulnerability. You want to create that blend so people on the one hand know that you are the best expert in the world, right? That's what they want to feel. But at the same time, they want to resonate with you, right? It's very important. Now, you want to tell people exactly what's going to happen in the course. And I always encourage people to give 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, some individuals tell me, well, why would I give people an option to get their money back? But I realize that when you do it, it increases the conversion rates ridiculously. right? So I sold well over 500,000 courses. I have 300,000 people on Udemy, but I sold over 500,000 courses. My refund rates are 1%. And literally every single person could get a refund, right? But when people like your content, when they resonate, they don't want their money back. And if you include it in your promo video, people are more likely to sign up for your course. Now, you also can't forget about the intro and thank you videos, very important. In the thank you video, you can actually tell people what you want them to do. Or you can say, hey, thank you so much for taking this course, and by the way, there's another course you can take, or you can find me here, or you can sign up to whatever, right? So you can give people call to action. Now, here's an important thing. Rather than just dumping a bunch of videos into your course, you want to structure your course. You want to create sections. So sections are idea clusters. So imagine you have section 1, and rather than having a ton of videos in there, you want to have anywhere between 3 to 7 videos. Then you have section 2, 3 to 7 videos. Section 3, 3 to 7 videos. This way, it's easier for people to consume your content, right? It's more digestible, but also it feels more compelling when they are wondering whether they should buy your course. So imagine a situation, right? This is a good example. Imagine you go to the landing page and you see a course and you like the title, you like how it looks like, but when you look at the curriculum, you see only 3 different videos. Would you take that course? Probably not, right? Now, what if you saw that each video is 30 minutes long? Would it change anything? Maybe a little bit, right? Just a little bit. But a lot of you say, nah, I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't get it, right? But here's the thing. Even if it's 3 videos, 30 minutes long, total of 90 minutes, that's quite a lot of content, but it's not digestible. Who has the time to watch 30-minute videos? So now imagine reversing this. Imagine having 30 different videos, 3 minutes each, right? So for example, imagine you have 5 sections, 6 videos per section, right? Section 1, 6 videos. Section 2, 6 videos. Just visualize it. Now it looks like a course, right? Make sense? Now it looks compelling. So you want to break down your courses into sections. Now there are exceptions, of course. You know, Mindvalley, we have quests here. Quests look a bit differently. If you have a ton of content, you can do it a bit differently. But when you are getting started, this is the best way to go about it. All right, so let's talk about designing your curriculum. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they want to start from the beginning and then arrive at the end. But you have to do it differently. It's counterintuitive, but you want to start with the end goal in mind. You want to ask yourself, first of all, okay, what is my topic? And we talked about choosing your topic. What is my topic? Based on your topic, now you want to ask yourself, what is my audience? What is my audience? This is something a lot of people forget about. A lot of people don't focus on their audience. They just find a topic and they start creating content. But you want to define your audience in excruciating detail. You want to ask yourself, what are the characteristics of my audience? What are their pain points? What are their challenges? What do they struggle with? And by the way, I'm sure that you can find people from your audience in this room. Pretty sure about that, right? Once you define your customer avatar, you will be able to find those people here, and then you can talk to them, and they will help you so you can help them. Make sense? Now, the second thing is, once you have your audience, you want to ask yourself, okay, what are the objectives of my course, right? What do I want to get out of this? What will I give to people, right? So this is an example. This is one part of one of my landing pages, and this is the list of objectives. Now, by the way, some of you, you're very perceptive. You probably see 40-minute confidence guide. This is actually a good example. This course is longer now, but I released that course initially as a 40-minute guide. And it performed so well, I added more content, and now it's a bestseller. Now, I didn't change the title because I'm afraid of the algorithms. I need to get into it. I don't want to mess anything up. But this is a good example that you can build a short course, and then you can keep improving it. So once you have objectives, what you do now is you go into something that we can poetically call your brain dump, okay? So you take a notepad, and you start asking yourself, okay, so this is my topic, this is my audience, these are the objectives for the audience. So what are the topics I could possibly teach, right? What are the potential lectures, stories, what are experiences I can share, what are case studies? What are my personal examples? What are techniques, strategies, step-by-step walkthroughs, right? So what you want to do is you literally want to do the brain dump. You want to ask yourself, what are all of the things I could teach about this topic? And at this stage, don't judge yourself. Just start writing all of those things down in your notepad. It may take you a few days. In fact, I recommend you do it for one day, you leave it, you sleep on it, then you add some more things, right? So once you do that, you will have a ton of clay, right? You may have like 40, 50, 100 different things in your notepad. And again, no judgment. You're not analyzing, oh, is this definitely correct? Maybe this is better, maybe that. No, put everything in there. Now, once you do it, once you have that, now I want you to go through this and ask yourself, okay, so what are the potential lecture titles? Create draft lecture titles. Don't try to make it perfect. These are just drafts. So you want to write a list of potential lectures. Don't think about the order. Don't think about the structure. Don't overcomplicate it. Literally write down the potential lectures. And here's what you do now, and this is powerful, and this is something I've been using this for many years. A lot of other people have been using this, and you can also utilize it when designing speeches, when writing books, when doing any type of content. So what you do, you take blocks of paper, right? On each block of paper, you write section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, right? However many sections you want to have. And you create some type of draft section titles, okay? Again, sections are your idea clusters. If you don't know, if you're not sure, just write down section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. That's enough for now. Now you put those paper on the floor, right? Section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. Then what you do is you take Post-it notes. You take your idea dump, your brain dump, and you move all those possible lecture pieces into separate Post-it notes, okay? And then what you do is, once you have a lot of Post-it notes with different ideas, different possible lectures, you arrange them in front of you. And what's powerful about it is that it's very visual, but it's also very kinesthetic. You can move things around. You're like, maybe I'll put this under lecture 1, under section 1. No, maybe not, I'll move it to section 2. So you just move it. Maybe you see another possible lecture and you realize, this is not relevant, let me not use it. You just throw it away, yeah? Maybe something is missing. Well, you take a clean paper and you just add it in there, and then you position it in your curriculum. And you just keep playing like this, right? You keep playing around, you can move things around, and eventually you come up with a curriculum, right? Make sense? Yeah? All right, awesome.